Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Sharna Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Sharna, business guide for women in sensitive niches and pregnancy loss educator. And today we're diving deep into something that came up powerfully in the recent masterclass I facilitated. Why women consistently undercharge for their work, especially those of us carrying medicine from our lived experience. The statistics are staggering. Recent research shows that women charge 21 to 26% less than men in freelance markets and 28% less when they're entrepreneurs paying themselves. But here's what really stopped me in my tracks. This gap is even more pronounced for women in sensitive niches like ours. If you've ever found yourself apologising for your prices, working for less than you're worth, or giving away your depth for free because you can't quite figure out how to put a price tag on transformation, this episode is for you. Before we dive into the cultural conditioning, let me share some numbers, just some general statistics. On DEC's 2024 study of over 9,000 freelancers, it found that women charge $59.70 per hour, while men charge $75.44. That's a 26% difference. But this gap exists even when women have similar qualifications, experience levels, and success rates. In entrepreneurship, it gets worse. Female entrepreneurs pay themselves 28% less than the male counterparts in identical industries. And get this, 20% of women entrepreneurs report deliberately charging less than the male counterparts to attract customers. But the statistic that really hit me was this: men apply for jobs when meeting only 60% of qualifications, while women wait until meeting 100%. Think about what this means for our pricing. We're waiting until we feel completely ready, completely qualified, completely perfect before we charge what we're worth. For women in sensitive niches, coaching, healing, grief work, trauma support, I see this pattern intensified. We're not just dealing with general cultural conditioning about women's worth. We're dealing with a specific devaluation of emotional and healing work. Or there is the fear to charge for something so deep and that you would do for free, right? A participant in the masterclass said, "Emotional stuff are soft skills and always just negative." She was naming something that affects our entire industry. When the culture sees emotional healing as less valuable than hard skills, women in these spaces face a double burden of undervaluation. Here's what most business coaches won't tell you about working in sensitive niches. The cultural programming runs even deeper. Research shows that 69% of women feel anxiety about negotiating pay, compared to less than half of men feeling confident about salary negotiation. But for women in healing spaces, there's an additional layer. We've been conditioned to believe that our work should be accessible, that charging appropriately for transformation somehow makes us heartless. That if we really cared about healing people, we'd make it affordable for everyone. But let me ask you this. When your car breaks down, do you expect the mechanic to work for free because transportation is a basic need? When you need legal help, do you tell the lawyer they should charge less because justice should be accessible? Of course not. But somehow when it comes to emotional healing, nervous system work, grief support, we're expected to prioritize service over sustainability. During the masterclass, one participant had this breakthrough. I am an investment. My energy and my body are something sacred, a temple that not everyone gets to enter. This is the shift we have to make. Your lived experience isn't just your story. It's specialized expertise that can literally save someone years of suffering. When you've walked through the territories most people can't access and emerged with wisdom, that's not just soft skill work. That's irreplaceable medicine. But the cultural conditioning tells us otherwise. It tells us that emotions are messy, that healing work is woo, that if we can't measure it with hard data, it doesn't have the same value. This is why women in our space often struggle with what I call transformation pricing confusion. And man, have I experienced this myself and had so many women tell me, how do you put a price tag on someone's breakthrough? How do you charge for the moment when someone finally feels safe in their own body? Here's where it gets interesting. From a nervous system perspective, the research shows that women experience imposter syndrome at significantly higher rates. 49.4% of female medical students versus 23.7% of male students. In healing spaces, where many of us don't have traditional credentials, this intensifies. Your nervous system might be operating from programming that says, who am I to charge this? I'm not a licensed therapist. I don't have a PhD. I'm just someone who's been through stuff. But here's what I know after years of working with women in our space. Are you holding space for the tender parts of life? Grief, infertility, pregnancy loss, trauma, but struggling to hold space for yourself? The Lifestyle and Impact Mentorship is a 6-month container for women building legacy businesses in sensitive niches. This isn't another hustle-heavy blueprint. It's support for the parts of business that no one talks about, like how your nervous system reacts every time you raise your prices, or why launching feels like burning out before you've even begun. We build differently here. We build with our cycles, not against them. We build around our values, not the algorithm. We build with our bodies in mind, not someone else's timeline. Inside, we cover nervous system regulation for sustainable income, business architecture built around your cycle, from praised to paid, so you stop giving away free therapy in the DMs, sacred pricing, messaging, and offer design, the full implementation of the legacy alchemy method, and human design support because your energy matters more than any funnel. You'll receive mentorship calls, nervous system sessions, business planning intensives, and WhatsApp support between calls, all inside a sisterhood of women building sacred businesses that last. This is for the practitioner who's ready to be well paid, deeply supported, and fully expressed in her work. We begin now. Only 3 spots available. Apply now via the link in the show notes. Your legacy deserves to be built sustainably. Let's do this differently together. Your conscious integration of lived experience often creates more sophisticated understanding than traditional training alone. During the masterclass, someone asked, "How can I expect others to pay me what I deserve if I don't believe I deserve it to begin with?" This is nervous system work. This is about rewiring the parts of you that learned to minimize your medicine because it didn't come through traditional channels. The research shows that when women do negotiate assertively, they face social backlash 67% higher than men, being labelled as bossy or aggressive. In sensitive niches, this penalty is even higher. We're supposed to be nurturing, caring, selfless. Charging appropriately for our depth can feel like it violates everything we've been taught about being a good woman in caring professions. But here's the truth. You cannot outprice or outbuild your nervous system. If your body doesn't feel safe holding the value of your medicine, you'll sabotage your own pricing every time. This is why the internal work of deservingness has to happen alongside the external work of pricing. You have to tend to the parts of you that learned to shrink, to apologize, to make yourself smaller so others would feel comfortable with your gifts. Now let's talk about sacred economics, because this is where everything changes for women in sensitive niches. A participant said, "My growth has a price. The tears I cried, night and night, do have a price. And that is not selfishness. It's self-honoring." She was speaking sacred economics. Your conscious healing journey wasn't just personal development. It was professional development that created expertise that simply cannot be replicated in any classroom. While others learned concepts, you learned through living. While others studied theories, you developed understanding through embodied experience. But here's what I see constantly. Women in sensitive niches giving away their most profound insights for free because we've been conditioned to believe that caring work should be sacrificial. And the statistics back this up. The 20% of women entrepreneurs who deliberately charge less to attract customers in healing spaces, I'd bet that number is higher. We're so afraid of being seen as money hungry or taking advantage of people's pain that we end up undervaluing the very medicine that could transform their lives. Sacred economics means recognizing that when you honor your medicine through your pricing, you're not being selfish, you're being sustainable. You're modeling for other women that healing work has value. That transformation deserves investment. That their own healing journey matters enough to invest in properly. When you undercharge, you're not just hurting yourself financially. You're participating in a system that devalues emotional and healing work. You're reinforcing the cultural message that this work doesn't matter as much as real professions. And here's what happens when you combine general gender conditioning with the specific devaluation of sensitive work. First, you get what I call double imposter syndrome. Not only are you dealing with the general programming that women's work is worth less, you're also dealing with the specific message that emotional work isn't real work. Second, You get clients who've been conditioned to expect healing work to be cheap. They'll pay $200 for a massage without even blinking, but balk at $200 for a session that could shift their entire relationship with grief. Or pay thousands of dollars for a new phone, but will want justification that their healing is worth paying that. Third, you get family and friends who don't understand why you're charging so much for just listening to people. Because they can't see the years of training, the lived experience, the energetic capacity it takes to hold space for transformation. But here's what shifts when you start charging appropriately for your medicine. You stop being resentful. When someone asked during the masterclass about feeling drained by people who take but don't invest, it's because giving away your medicine for free creates an energetic imbalance. You attract different people. The women who are ready to invest in transformation at the level you offer come with different energy, different commitment, different capacity to receive what you're offering. In a culture that devalues emotional work, when you charge appropriately for your healing expertise, you're making a statement that this work matters. So if you're listening to this and recognizing yourself in these patterns, here's what I want you to know. The statistics show that this isn't just in your head. Women do charge less, 21 to 26% less in freelance markets and 28% less as entrepreneurs. And for those of us in sensitive niches, the cultural programming runs even deeper. But the shift from undercharging to honouring your worth isn't just about changing your prices. It's about changing your relationship with your own value in a culture that systemically devalues the medicine you carry. It's recognition work. Seeing that your lived experience created expertise that can't be taught. It's nervous system work. Feeling safe, being valued for depth that others can't access. It's cultural deprogramming work. Refusing to participate in systems that minimize emotional healing. And it's some of the most important work you can do, not just for yourself, but for every woman who needs to see that her medicine matters enough to be properly valued. Your worth isn't up for negotiation. Your medicine has value that goes beyond what most people can even comprehend. And the world needs what you carry, but only if you're brave enough to honour it through how you show up, how you price, and how you allow yourself to be seen. If you want to dive deeper into this work, the Recognition Masterclass replay covers all of these themes and more. I will pop the link to the replay in the show notes. Remember, you're not just pricing your services. You're pricing the medicine that could literally save someone years of suffering. Price accordingly. Until next time, keep recognizing the medicine you carry. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at instituteofhealing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.